Hello friends, up till now what we have seen the types of the transducers based on the working principle and types of the physical quantities which we have to measure. Today we have to see the transducers based on the external supply is connected or not. Now what we have to see is transducers based on the external power supply is connected or not. So there are two types of the transducers in which either there is a connection of external supply is there or there is no connection of external supply. So depending upon that, there are two types of the transducers. First one is active transducer. Now to which we have say these are the active transducers. So the active transducers are in which they do not require any external power supply. They work on the energy conversion principle. Now what do you mean by energy conversion principle? Whenever there is no connection or whenever there is no external supply is given, one form of energy is converted into the another form, that is called as energy conversion principle. So these active transducers are work on the energy conversion principle. They produce an electrical signal which is proportional to the input, or we can say physical quantity. For example for this is thermocouple. Now what is thermocouple? In the thermocouple we are not connecting any external source. There is just what we are giving the physical quantity. What is physical quantity? The heat or the temperature which is converted into the electrical signal without any external supply. So these are called as active transducers. So what is there in the active transducers? In active transducers, we do not require any external supply. They work on the energy conversion principles. Now the second transducers they are called as passive transducers. Now what do you mean by passive transducers? So the transducers which require an external power source for their operation are called as passive transducers. Example for the passive transducers are, we can say photocell, or we have seen the piezoelectric transducers where the external supply is very much necessary for the energy conversion. So in the passive transducers which requires an external power supply are called as passive transducers, and they produce the output signal which is in the form of some variations of the resistance, capacitance or the inductance. Now what is the basic difference between the active transducers and the passive transducers? In the active transducers, for the energy conversion we do not require any external power supply, and for the passive transducers we are requiring the external power supply, and whatever the output is produced, that is in the form of some variation in the resistance, capacitance or the inductance. So what we have seen the pressure transducers. Pressure transducers, it is the example of the passive transducers, because in that pressure transducers whatever the pressure which we are applied to measure, that is proportional to the resistance, and whatever the output signal which is produced in the pressure transducer, that is depending upon the variations in the resistance and the capacitance or any other electrical parameters. So what is happening in the passive transducers? Whatever the output signal it is presenting or it is obtaining, that is in the form of some variation in the electrical parameters, and electrical parameters like resistance, capacitance or the inductance, and that we have to convert it into current or the voltage signal. Now the example for the passive transducers is photocell, we can say LDR, in which it will vary the resistance of the cell when the light falls on it. So this is the example of the passive transducer. Then we have to see the different types of the transducers. First one is the mechanical transducer. Now these are very basic types of the transducers. In the mechanical transducers, what we have to do is, Mechanical transducers are the set of the primary sensing elements that responds to the changes in the physical quantity with a mechanical output. That means in the simple language we can say mechanical transducers are the sensors or the sensing elements in which the one form of energy is converted into the mechanical form, that are called as mechanical transducers. The another one is the electrical transducers. Now what is happening in the electrical transducers? In the electrical transducers are those that responds to the changes in the physical quantities with the electrical output. And electrical transducers are further divided into passive electrical transducers and the active electrical transducers. Now what is the basic difference between the mechanical transducers and the electrical transducers? In the mechanical transducers, the electrical energy is converted into the mechanical motion, that are called as mechanical transducers, where the output is the mechanical output. Whereas in the electrical transducers, the energy it is converted into the electrical signal, that is called as electrical transducers. Again, the electrical transducers are of two types, that is active and the passive, that we have seen already. That is, if the external supply is given, then these are called as active transducers. When the external supply is given, that are called as passive transducers. And when there is no external supply or there is no external connections, these are called as active transducers. Now this is all related to the transducers which we have seen. So what is the basics of the transducers? Which can sense as well as which can convert the one form of energy into the another form. Now we have to focus on the sensors. Now in the starting itself I told you the basic difference between the sensors and the transducers. So the sensors can only senses the physical quantity, whereas transducers can sense it and convert it into the another form. Now we have to focus on the types of the sensors. So the first sensor is displacement sensor. Now what are the displacement sensors? So the displacement sensors are concerned with the measurement of amount by which some object has been removed. So the displacement sensors are concerned with the measurement of amount by which some object has been moved. When there is a movement, we can say these are the displacement sensors. So the types of the displacement sensors are potentiometer displacement sensors. So what do you mean by potentiometer displacement sensors? The example is LVDT, where we have to see the movement with respect to the potentiometer. So this potentiometer or the resistances can sense the movement of the element and they shows us the displacement. So these are called as the potentiometer displacement sensors. Next one is the inductive displacement sensors. Now what we have seen the potentiometer displacement sensors, the resistances are used. In the inductive displacement sensors, again these are related to the movement of an object, but instead of resistances we have to use the inductors. So in the inductive displacement sensors, the displacement of an object is measured by varying the induction between the inductors of that. So these are called as inductive displacement sensors, where the inductors are used. Next one are capacitive displacement sensors. So in the capacitive displacement sensors, the movement of any object is proportional to the voltages which is present between the two plates of the capacitor. The movement of the object is proportional to the whatever the voltage is produced by the capacitor, that is called as capacitive displacement sensor. So in the potentiometer displacement sensor, what is happening? If there is a variation in the resistances, you can sense or you can measure the movement of the object. In the inductive displacement sensor, whatever the induction or whatever the voltage is produced due to the mutual inductance, that voltage level is proportional to the movement of the sensor. In the capacitive displacement sensor, the voltage which is produced by the capacitor, that is proportional to the movement of the object. So these are three types of the displacement sensors: potentiometer, inductive and the capacitive. Then next one is eddy current displacement sensor. Now what do you mean by this eddy current displacement sensor? So this eddy current displacement sensor works on the principle of Hall effect. So what we have seen in the Hall effect working principle, whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in the transverse field of the supply voltage, it produces the electrical signal. So in this, the eddy current displacement sensor, whatever the motion of the object is proportional to the whatever the current which is producing, eddy current which is producing, that is proportional to that movement of an object. So that is related to the eddy current displacement sensor. Next one is piezoelectric displacement sensor. So these sensors are work on the piezoelectric effect. What is the piezoelectric effect? Piezoelectric effects are based on the piezoelectric principle, where the quartz crystal is used. Whenever the mechanical stress or strain is given to the quartz crystal, it produces the electrical signal, or we can say in the converse part, whenever the frequency is applied to the quartz crystal, it produces the mechanical stress, that are called as piezoelectric sensors. Then ultrasonic displacement sensors. So in these ultrasonic displacement sensors, these are senses the ultrasonic waves, and the ultrasonic waves which are sensed by the sensors, that is proportional to the movement of the object. So these are the displacement sensors. The next displacement sensor is magnetostrictive displacement sensor. Now what do you mean by magnetostrictive displacement sensor? So these type of sensors works on the principles of electromagnetic force. The magnetostrictive transducers works on the principle of electromagnetic force. So what we have seen, the electromagnetic principle. Electromagnetic principle, in that the core is present, ferromagnetic core, and a coil is present, and there is no physical connections between these two. And whenever you are giving the energy supply or the external supply to that, the induction is produced in the magnetic field is produced in the core. So these magnetostrictive displacement sensors are work on the principles of electromagnetic. So in this, whatever the motion or whatever the magnetic field is produced over there, that is proportional to the motion of an object. So these are called as magnetostrictive displacement sensors. Next one is optical encoder displacement sensors. So with the name of this sensor only, we can say optical encoder displacement sensor means it can senses the light. So when the light is absorbed by the sensors, or we can say sensing elements, which are photodiodes or which can be phototransistors, when that light is absorbed, that is proportional to the motion of the object. So these are called as optical encoder displacement sensors. Next one is strain gauge displacement sensor. Now what is this related with? The strain gauge displacement sensors is related to the pressure measurement. These strain gauges displacement sensors are related with the pressure measurements, which are depending upon the potentiometer operations. So in that, variation in the potentiometer resistances are related to the motion of the object. So these are the strain gauge displacement sensors. Next one is position sensors. So all the above displacement sensors are related with the displacement sensors. Now the next sensor is position sensor. In the position sensors, these are concerned with the determination of the position of some object in relation to the some reference point. So what is the difference between the displacement sensors and the position sensors? In the displacement sensors, we have not seen any reference point. We just have seen the displacement from one point to the other point. What is the displacement? That we have seen, and we have seen the different displacement sensors depending upon the working principles. Now what is the basic difference between the displacement sensors and the position sensors? In the displacement sensors, we are not going to see any reference point. We just have to see what is the displacement between the 2 points. Whereas in the position sensors, what we have to do is we have to see one reference point, and what we have to check is we have to concern with the determination of the position of the some object in relation with the reference point. With that reference point, we have to see what is the change in the position of the object. That are called as position sensors. Then the third type of the sensors are the proximity sensors. So what do you mean by proximity sensors? These are the form of the position sensors are used to determine when an object has moved to within some particular critical distance of the sensors. They are essential devices which give on or off output. So what are called as proximity sensors? Proximity sensors are the forms of the position sensors, and that can be used to determine when an object has moved within some particular critical distance. When we have decided a particular critical distance, and within that range only, when the object is moving, that is called as proximity sensor. That means we have to see the distance of that proximity. Within that proximity, we have to see the distance. So these are called as proximity sensors. We can say these proximity sensors are nothing but the position sensors also. So what are the other types of the proximity sensors? So the various principles are available for the proximity detection and the measurement. What is proximity detection? When the range is decided, and within that range only we have to see the motion of the object or the movement of the object. So first one is inductive detection and the measurement. So in the inductive principle, what we have to do is, in this inductive type of measurement, the mutual induction operation is present. So these inductive proximity sensors are work on the principle of electromagnetic induction. So electromagnetic induction production is depend upon the Faraday's law of induction. Then next one is magnetic proximity sensors. In the magnetic proximity sensors, magnets are used which can sense the movement of the object. Next is optical proximity detection. Now what do you mean by optical proximity? In the optical proximity, these are working on the principles of the optical, when the light energy is converted into the electrical signal. Then next one is ultrasonic sensors. So these ultrasonic sensors are used as a proximity sensors for the detection of the movement of the object. So in this, the ultrasonic high frequency waves are used at the regular interval of time. They can give the precise movement of the object. Now what we have seen up till now, all the types related to the transducers and the sensors. Now the important point is, among these transducers, which transducer is the best one and what is the selection criteria for the transducer? On which basis we are going to select the transducers which can give us the best output? So let us see the selection criteria of the transducer. So the first one is, what is the physical quantity to be measured? So this is the basic criteria. Which physical quantity you have to measure? Depending upon that, you have to select your transistor. Whether you have to measure the flow, whether you have to measure the pressure or the flow or the heat. So depending upon these physical quantities, you have to use the, or you have to select the transducer type. Next one selection criteria is, which transducer principle can be best to detect or to measure these quantities. Now suppose you have to measure the pressure. So for the pressure measurement, it works on which principle that you have to decide. If you have to measure the light, then you have to, first of all, you have to check that which principle, on which principle it is working. Then the next is, what is the accuracy required for the measurement? This is the very much important point. This accuracy point is related to the static characteristics of the transducers. Definitely, when we are going to see any system, we must want the output which should be accurate. We should be having the output value which is very close to the true value. So we require the accuracy, and to get the higher accuracy, depending upon that, we have to choose our transducer. Now this accuracy point is again divided into fundamental transducer parameters. So what are the fundamental parameters we have to use? Definitely we have to see the accuracy itself, but accuracy related to what? That accuracy is related to the fundamentals of the transducer parameters. Then that accuracy is connected with the physical conditions. What are the physical conditions your transducer is going through? Depending upon that, your accuracy will change. Then what are the environmental conditions? Environmental conditions like temperature, pressure of the air or the humidity. So all these environmental conditions we have to take into consideration, because these things will be again affect your accuracy. Then next one is compatibility of the associated equipment. It is not necessary that whatever the transducers you are using that are compatible with the what are the other equipments which are associated with it. So whenever you have to select your transducer, you must have to check the transducer which are going to associated with the other equipment, so that its accuracy will not get changed. Then next is, what is the next selection criteria is, we have to reduce the total measurement error. Now this is very important point. What are the errors? Errors are the deflection in the measured value and the true values. These are called as error. So anyways, we have to remove those errors. We have to reduce those errors. So errors related to what? Errors using in place system calibration with the correction performed in the data reduction. So whenever we have to calibrate the system and with the corrections which we are going to perform in the data reduction, that are related to the errors. Whenever we are going to calibrate any system and we are going to measure, or when we are correcting that, that are related to the errors only. Then next one is artificially controlling the environment to minimize the possible error. What we have seen, that environmental errors are there, environmental conditions we have to consider. So to control those environmental conditions, if we are artificially controlling it, then we have to see how to minimize the possible errors when we are artificially going to control it. So these are related to the errors. We have seen how to reduce the errors. Now what are the types of the errors related to the transducers? So the first one is systematic error. Now what do you mean by systematic error? Systematic errors are the system errors. We can say these are the constant errors. By repeating the number of calibrations, we are getting the same values of the error. These are called as systematic errors. So what are the systematic errors? The errors that tend to have the same magnitude and sign for the given set of the calibrations or the conditions, such as instrument, environment, loading errors. So these types of error can be eliminated by applying the proper calibration. So these systematic error are related to the instruments, environment, or the loading errors, and they are having the same magnitude and sign for the given sets of the conditions. Then next error are called as random errors or the accidental errors. So the next errors are random errors or called as accidental errors. So what are these errors? These errors are of variable magnitude and sign, and they do not obey any law, because they are random errors randomly that are occurring, and they are not related to the, they are not having the same magnitude or the sign. So these errors are caused due to the random variations in the parameters or the system of the measurement, such as accuracy of the measuring small quantities. These types of errors can be calculated by using the systematic errors. Now what do you mean by random errors? So random errors are due to the changes in the parameters of the system or in the small measurements of the system. So these are accidental errors, we can say. Sometimes we are getting the some value of the measurement and accidentally we are putting it wrong. So these are called as accidental errors or the random errors. Then next one is the gross error. What do you mean by gross error? So sometimes gross error are called as man-made errors. These are generally the faults of the persons using in the instruments and are due to the incorrect reading of the instruments. Sometimes we are getting the value of pressure is 1.10 Newton per meter square, but it can be wrongly detected as 1.01. So the difference of these two is called as wrong error or gross error. We can say this is due to the fault of the person, which that is not written properly. So these are called as gross errors. So the gross errors can occur due to the incorrect recording of the experimental data, incorrect use of the instruments. So these errors may be of any magnitude and cannot be subjected to the mathematical treatment, because these are due to the laziness of the person. So there is no treatment for the gross errors. So we have seen the types of the errors related to the transducers. Now let us see what are the characteristics related to the transducers. So depending upon its dynamic motion or the static, there are two types of the characteristics for the transducers: static characteristics and the dynamic characteristics. So let us focus on the static characteristics of the transducers. So the first specification for the static characteristics is accuracy. Now what do you mean by accuracy? Accuracy, it is the closeness of the transducer output to the true value of the measured quantity. So what is accuracy? Accuracy is the closeness of measured value with the true value. However, in the usual practice, it is specified as the inaccuracy of the measurement from the true value by calculating the absolute and the percent error. The accuracy of the instrument depends upon the various systematic errors. Because I told you what are the systematic errors. Systematic errors are related to the instruments or the number of the measurements. So your accuracy will change with respect to your true value, closeness of the true value, which is depending upon the systematic errors. So what is accuracy? Accuracy is related to the true value, we can say how close your measured value is to the true value. Then next one is precision or repeatability. What do you mean by precision? Precision is defined as ability of instrument to reproduce a certain set of the readings within the accuracy. So what is the difference between accuracy and the precision? Precision is closeness to the true value. So what is accuracy? Accuracy, it is the closeness to the true value. And what is precision? Precision is the set of the values which precise readings you are getting. So this is the difference between the accuracy and the precision. What is repeatability? It is the ability of instrument to reproduce a group of measurements of the same measured value quantity made by the same observer. So in the repeatability, we should get the same measured value, same group of values by the same observer. So this is called as repeatability, and this repeatability is related to the term precision. So the precision of the instrument depends on the factors that cause the random errors. The next term is resolution, or we can say discrimination. So what is resolution? Resolution is again a static characteristics of transducers. So it is defined as the smallest increment in the measured value that can be detected with the certainty by the instruments. And resolution is also defined as largest change in the input that can occur without any corresponding change in the output. So what do you mean by resolution? When there is the smallest or the largest change in the output, there is a change in the input. That is called as resolution. So resolution is related with the changes in the output and changes in the input. That is called as resolution or the discrimination. Why discrimination? Because as you are going to change your input, there is a change in the smallest change in the output. So there should not be any discrimination in that. That's why it is called as resolution or the discrimination. Next is the range, or we can say span. So range or the span of an instrument defines the minimum or the maximum values of the quantities that the instrument is designed to measure. Whenever the instrument is designed, there are the range decided for that instruments. So within the range only you should get the measured values. So these are related to the static characteristics. So when the range is decided, so you should get the measured values within that range only. If suppose a voltmeter is designed for the range of say 0 to 15 volts, then you will definitely get the output values of the voltages within this range only. So this is called as range or the span of the instrument. Then next is static sensitivity, or it is again called as scale factor or the gain. Now what do you mean by sensitivity? It is defined as the ratio of magnitude of the response to the magnitude of the quantity being measured. What is it? It is the ratio of the magnitude of the response to the magnitude of the quantity being measured. That is called as sensitivity. So how your instrument is sensitive for the measured value of the magnitude and quantity being measured. Whatever the quantity you have to measure, and the ratio of that measured quantity and the magnitude of their response, it gives you the sensitivity of the instrument. So if the relationship between the input and output is linear, the sensitivity is constant. Linear means this is the output and this is the input. If it goes like this from the origin, straight line from the origin, we can say this is the linear graph. So if your output changes with respect to input, it is linear. We can say this is the linear system, or the sensitivity is constant over here. And if the relationship between the input and the output is non-linear, then the sensitivity varies with the input values. Now what is happening in the non-linear characteristics? This is the output and this is the input, and you are getting the graph like this. So what difference you can see in the linear sensitivity and the non-linear sensitivity? In the linear sensitivity, the graph is constant, or constantly there is change in the output with respect to the input. Whereas in the non-linear sensitivity, what you can see, up to some point your output changes with the input, but after that you can see the curve over here, the output is stopped changing with respect to input. So these are called as non-linear sensitivity. Then next one is the linearity, that we have already discussed. What is linearity? Linearity is closeness to which the curve approximates a straight line. If we are getting the straight line between the input and the output, then we can say the instrument is linear. However, linearity is not completely achieved. We cannot get exact change in the output with respect to the input. So ideal linearity is not completely achieved. Then what is dead zone or the dead band? It is the largest change of the measured value in which the measurement does not respond. So what is the dead zone? In which the measurement does not respond. It is the large range in which the measurement does not respond with respect to the input. That is called as dead zone, where you are not getting any kind of the measurement. So that is called as dead zone. Now next is the drift. What do you mean by drift? This is the variation of the output for the given input caused due to the change in the sensitivity of the instrument due to certain interfering inputs like the temperature changes. So what is drift? When there is a temperature change, your sensitivity is changing. So there are many instruments which consist of the semiconductor materials which are very highly prone to the temperature changes. So when there is a temperature change, the sensitivity is changing, and when the sensitivity changes, there is a drift, and that drift gives you the variation in the output. So there are sensitivity drift and the zero drift. What is zero drift? There is no change in the output with respect to the external conditions. That is called as zero drift. And what is sensitivity drift? When there is change in the output due to the external conditions, that are called as sensitivity drift. Then what is hysteresis? Hysteresis, it is defined as the magnitude of the error caused in the output for the given value of the input, and when this value is approached from the opposite direction, that is from ascending order and then the descending order, this is caused by the backlash, elastic deformation, magnetic characteristics and the frictional elements. So this is called as hysteresis. If suppose this is say input values and this is the output values, so to which we can call the hysteresis. If we are getting these kind of curves like this, so with respect to this, we are getting these two change values. So this portion is called as hysteresis. So up till now what we have seen, different types of the transducers, different types of the sensors, static characteristics. Thank you.